Let me tell you guys about BellyUpSports. BellyUpSports is the internet sports bar. Go ahead and check out their website, www.bellyupsports.com, to read some great articles from great writers all across the country, from hockey, baseball, golf, soccer, you name it. BellyUpSports is the premier, not your average website. There needs to be a better roster regulations. Like, I think, I've said this, like, MLS, while their job is to make their league watchable to fans, I think their other responsibility is to be able to support the U.S. men's national team with players. You have the front row seat to all the talent in your region. And I mean, well, I'll just say, like, if you're Houston, not only do you have your local, your region of Texas, but you also have Louisiana. Like, I mean, you should be able to find players within these regions, whether it's through the academy or, kind of how we mentioned earlier about the college system. But, like, you should be able to support the U.S. men's national team by finding players, get them, get them up to playing at a level at the first team level. Whether you ship them out to Europe or you ship them out anywhere else, or at least become legends amongst the league and improving the league, like, there needs to be some stricter rules when it comes to it. I think the English Premier League, you mentioned that they have a rule where you have to have a certain number of English-born players, or maybe not necessarily English-born, but UK, I guess.
Yeah, they're UK. They have to be from Scotland, Wales, or
So you have
England.
to have, like, a certain number of players on your roster that are from the UK. And I think the Bundesliga does that as well. Like, you have to have a certain number of German-born players on your roster. Like, MLS needs to do that, where you have to have a certain number of American players on your roster. And I guess maybe for Canada, you might have to also kind of make them abide to maybe Canadian players. But I mean, but still, to the end of it all, you have to be able to fill a roster with guys from, to one, get players going. Because I mean, Liga MX, sound all you want about them, but there's always some young Mexican player that's held hostage by Liga MX, to be granted. But still, you see that kid playing for Mexico one day, and you're like, oh, the kid, who the hell is that kid? And then that kid has to, like, leave Liga MX and play in Russia for a bit. But I mean, like, I think that's one of those things that, like, I think MLS needs to start doing, is starting to get these guys, like, y'all need to start developing players. Like, just start doing it. Like, just, it's, everyone else does it. Y'all need to get in the program. I get it that getting a Messi is cool, getting a Kevin De Bruyne is cool, but at the end of the day, if your team sucks, Kevin De Bruyne is not going to fix your team. So I think that, and it's also the cheapest way, honestly, is developing players within your market. I think anybody can say that. I mean, the New York, New Jersey area, I feel like every big name American player is somehow affiliated to New Jersey and the New York region. So, I mean, I think that's kind of like the hub. Davi, you can correct me if I'm wrong on that one. But it seems like everyone I know that I've met in my life in soccer have some sort of affiliate to New York, New Jersey.
It's the biggest market in the world for a reason, right?
Yeah.
7 of the main 15 for the U.S. men's national team are just that Northeast corridor. So I included Massachusetts and Pennsylvania in that.
And fair enough. But yeah, so I think MLS needs to start it. It might seem kind of dictatorishy, but I think MLS needs to implement a rule, because I'll be honest with you. You look at that Dynamo roster, not many Americans on that team. So yeah, I think MLS needs to start having an initiative where, and I'm not saying that, like, the whole, like a half, or I'm just saying a percentage of that roster needs to have American-born players.
Yeah, no, I wholeheartedly agree with this. We've talked about this many a times about the potential, for the U.S. men's national team to get better. It's going to start with American players being used more, American players developing better. Part of this goes into the U.S. Soccer Federation and how they have their regulations set up, where it very much is a pay-to-play system. They're supposedly trying to fix that, but they keep electing businessmen into the head of the USSF and not people that actually know soccer. So, yeah, I just digress. But the MLS as a whole, I mean, you have all the research. Again, we talked about all this money that goes into the MLS that they don't put into the teams at all. They put into bringing in Messi's and De Bruyne's and all these people, and just make actual academy squads. And we talked about this last time I was on the show, Hector, where in every other European league and every major soccer and football federation out there, they have an academy league, like an actual league of academy players. These guys are what would be equivalent to 18 to 30 on the roster numbers, or 18 to 35 on the roster numbers. And they go out and play every Friday night while their senior squad goes and plays every Sunday. Like, what are we doing where we can't have that? We have the players, they have the facilities, we have soccer specific stadiums, we have top-notch training grounds. Let these guys go out, play on an off day, and actually develop and actually make it worth something, because there's kids in these academy squads that are playing for actual titles for their academy in every other league. But in the US, it's that's an exhibition. We don't really care. We have infinite subs. They're not prepping them for anything other than to pick their nose on the end of the bench when it comes to getting to the senior squad. Like, I don't get it. Player development in the MLS is just a joke of anything.
Davi, your thoughts on putting some stricter roster rules on the MLS?
No, I support it when it comes to American players and the youth and trying to develop the best American players and, trying to get competitive with countries like in Argentina, like in Brazil, Spain, England. That's great. It's only going to sharpen the iron and the young kids in this country that want to come play soccer and be a professional soccer player one day and make it big. You got to do that, and you got to start with the academies. The academies is everything, and you got to build from the ground up, essentially, with that. So put those roster rules in place, or make it stricter. Something like the Premier League, what they do with UK born players. It's only going to help out the US and Canada as well. We can't forget Canada because there's the 3 Canadian teams up there. Just as long as you have a certain amount of players that are from the US and Canada, it's only going to help out the region, and it'll actually make CONCACAF respectable, and you'll actually gain some respect around the world if you actually start to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, I'll take competing with Croatia before any of those other big name countries first. Like, honestly.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You got to take it one by one.
Yeah,
but that's the end goal.
I'm hoping
for not a 5-0 loss to Croatia anymore.